fingers.
Fat fingers. Here we go. 542. Welcome to another edition of the Take 3 Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Ernest EJ Christian, coming to you on I'm doing my own wrestling podcast, intro. Coming to you on a Sunday night here in South Florida. That's kidding. Anyway, we are coming to you on a Sunday night there here in South Florida. Well, at least most of us are. Joined here, of course, my two wrestling comrades here. First off, Mike, the Squid Bernier. Mike, what's up?
Tacos.
Damn, I'm hungry now. Thank you. And of course, the real Joe Lopez, aka who doesn't have a Twitter yet. We're gonna work on that. No, I'm just joking. Nope.
Never gonna happen.
Well, before we start this show, we have to give a congratulations to our brother Mike here, who is we just announced this week that he is expecting his third child. Congratulations, brother.
I currently have the ability to win the WCW 6-man tag team titles now.
You do.
Hell yeah.
You do.
Ship it. Let's go.
And what's due date again? Is it next summer? July?
Yes, July,
baby. I like that. So,
I don't.
You don't like that?
No, it's gonna be hot as hell.
Well, you shouldn't have sex. You should wait a couple months to have sex.
You live in Florida. It's always hot as hell.
No, not right now. It's actually pretty cool.
July's a different kind of heat. I mean, yes, it's like Latino heat.
Oh,
July's
boy. I like that.
July's like, it'd be a great idea to sit in like a thing of freshly made chicken noodle soup. It's like, this is never a great idea because everything burns.
Is it better than the Harlem heat though? I'm just joking. No.
I mean, nothing's better than Harlem heat.
No, you should know, Mr. New Yorker. Yeah. Oh, you should know. By the way, today Joel's on Skype actually, so it's great. He's sounding clearer than ever before.
Yes, like I was saying to you right before the show. It's like I listened to last week's show, and it sounded like you guys were in the studio together, and I was on the road for 1-800.
You felt left out. Just go ahead and say it. You felt left
out. But now you've brought me in. You've brought me home. So I thank you.
He's coming home. He's coming.
Yes,
home.
he is. Anyway, so we're gonna get to all the three topics of the week. We're gonna have that all set up. But first, let's get to the news of the week. We'll call our notebook section of the podcast. First things first. Lots of releases today in WWE. Big names including Sin Cara after 10 years and Luke Harper after 7 years released today by WWE. Any reaction to those guys? To the releases and news of that? And where do you think they might be, Mikey, in the future?
Deuces, Sin Cara. Yeah, you can go back to being Hunico or whatever you were, riding that bicycle around. See ya. He's going to go back to Mexico. I think Luke Harper, I don't know if he runs to AEW. I think he might do his own thing for a little while. Enjoy the freedom of not being chained to a company. Other guys, the Ascension, I can see them being a team that Ring of Honor may bring in the future to help bolster their tag team division, which has suffered greatly over the last 6 months or so, but that's all of Ring of Honor. So that's where I stand on where I potentially think that they may go. I don't think this is the end of the releases. I think there are more to come. I've been watching Twitter all day waiting to see if somebody else is. You know, I know that Mike Bennett put in for his release, or Mike Kanellis as he's known as in WWE, but whatever.
Ago, right.
But I mean, if you don't remember correctly, I mean, I think I broke the news to Joe that Harper put in for his release
a while ago
back at WrestleMania.
Oh wow! And he came back at SummerSlam or close to SummerSlam, and then that was it. Did a couple of hits on a couple of pay-per-views. That was it.
Yep.
Yeah.
The only reaction I have to the news, like I said earlier, it's, WWE has released more Sin Caras than Dr. Dre has solo albums.
I saw that. That was funny as hell.
Yeah, it's not shocking to me. And Brody Lee will be in AEW within the next, let's give it 2 to 3 months. I don't know if he has a no compete clause or what.
I'm willing to bet he's probably got a 90-day no compete.
Yeah, so he shows up around March.
Yeah. I saw only one Sin Cara match my entire time that I know who Sin Cara was. That was like a month and a half ago, and that was it. Luke Harper, of course, I see him a little more, but this is what happens. You don't watch it 17 years and come back in 2019 in the summer. Oh well.
Can we talk about Biff Busick re-signing? And for those of you that live under a rock, Biff Busick is Oni Lorcan,
Right.
who went on this awesome Twitter rant and posted these cool fucking tweets where he was basically going back to his old Biff Busick persona with throwing up the one finger, like he used to as Biff Busick, or that's where the whole one from the 1-2 came from. I loved Northeastern Independent Promotion Biff Busick. I thought he was awesome. But then he announces that he wanted to release, and then he got a contract extension.
Weird.
Very
intrigued. Too public.
Now,
very intrigued.
Now, while we have people getting released today by WWE, we do have a name returning to WWE that was announced this week, that John Morrison returned to the company after a few years away. Joe, your thoughts on that?
I'm excited. I'm a fan of Morrison, and he's ended up in places where I mostly haven't watched him. Like, he wasn't enough for me to start watching Impact again or anything like that. So I say, bring on Johnny Friday Night SmackDown Live on Fox.
What, did they announce that he's on SmackDown, or
no? I'm just saying that would be the far superior name to Johnny Raw.
Oh, okay.
And we already have a Johnny NXT, so
that's true.
Hey, Johnny Full Sail Live.
Yes, there you go.
Well, Johnny Full Sail Live, like that's good.
I think the most logical place to probably put him is SmackDown, but then I don't know what he goes off and does unless he gets into a feud with Nakamura and Sammy.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me that the idea of Morrison versus Nakamura doesn't just sound like the dream match you didn't know you wanted.
I mean, I didn't know I wanted it until I just said that. I said what makes more sense is that he would be going to a feud with Shinsuke Nakamura and Sami Zayn.
Yes.
But then again, there are a lot of matches that when you think of Shinsuke Nakamura that you would think, man, this match may suck, but then you remember Nakamura from New Japan, and you're like, it actually may be really, really good. I don't know if I actually thought I needed that match.
Right.
And finally, after 2 weeks of losing NXT, after NXT won the last 2 weeks in the ratings war on Wednesday, AEW bounces back. But catch this, though. The numbers are pretty tight this week. AEW wins, but only wins by 6,000 views on Wednesday night compared to NXT. But what I will say was encouraging about this, I said this to you guys in the group chat on Wednesday, and I'll say it to you guys here on air on the podcast. It is very encouraging to see the numbers starting to go up on for both companies, which means more people are tuning into both companies and into wrestling as a whole. So, as I've said for a long time now, at the end of the day, everybody wins.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, I'm at a push for this week.
Yeah, I don't think that, like, it's such the close number. I don't even think that you can call it a win for either side. And
nope.
I hate taking away a win from someone, but it's just it's a win for wrestling.
Yeah,
they give the Detroit Lion Arizona Cardinal game from this year tie.
Yeah, there you go.
Pretty much.
Are we gonna discuss the former WWE star who got released going chronically insane, or are we saving that for a solo topic?
What's that? Show? What do you mean?
Let's save that.
Okay, we'll save that.
Okay. So you ready for the takes?
Yeah.
Okay. So each of us comes this week with a take for the week to discuss and debate. So we'll start first with the real Joe Lopez. What'd you bring to the table today, buddy?
All right. Well, and I feel like I'm picking on AEW, but I swear to you, I'm not. I'm a big fan of the company. I watch it every single week. Over NXT, as a matter of fact. I usually DVR and just watch NXT afterwards. But anyway, the win-loss record thing in AEW. The fact that Jungle Boy is 0-8 and getting a shot at the world title, not this week, but next week. When the company started, they said that they were going to do things a little differently. They said win-loss records were really going to matter. And I've seen this now debated online. There's a message board that Mike and I go on that I brought the question up there, and I've seen different people's opinions. Yeah, it's a Looney Bin shout out, right? But like, I see the different opinions that people have, and I will bring them up here to give sides in case you guys don't, you disagree with me. My feeling though is that if you're gonna say that you're gonna do something different, if you say you're gonna bring something to the table, then you follow through. It bothers me that those win-loss records that are supposed to matter so much seem to not. And occasionally, like in the women's match this past week, they made that feel like it mattered there. They kept pointing out that the one woman whose name I would butcher if I even remembered it is the number one contender.
And Shakira?
Yeah.
Yes,
it was a
correct.
big deal that she then lost in that match, and that like the fact that they put that over so much, it made that match matter in ways that it wouldn't have. And I think that's supposed to be the whole point of the win-loss record thing. But then for me, it's like consistency, like just follow through. That's all.
Okay.
Whatever you guys think.
Mike, you want to go first this one?
Sure. First off, if you're going to do rankings, this would be the equivalent of like the BCS. We'll find a way to get it wrong. Just give us enough time. Second off, as a Cincinnati Bengal fan whose record is currently 1-12.
Sorry.
No, that's
we're not far behind, buddy. We're not far behind. And after tomorrow night, be 2-11. It's okay.
Yeah.
New York Giants.
So the reality of the situation is in what alternate universe does the 1-11 Cincinnati Bengals play in the Super Bowl?
If the Patriots challenge them, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Or in 2 weeks at an AEW show where the 0-8 Jungle Boy takes on the Le Champion. It makes no sense. You guys said that it was going to matter. Make it matter. Cody shouldn't be in the top 5 because he can't challenge for the world title. Put somebody else in the top 5. If you're going to make the women's division matter based off of records, you need to do it for the tag and for the men's division. But the reality of the situation is if you're going to feed us the old, we're going to be different, and then not do it, all you're going to do is piss off the fan base more. So what do you want to do? Do you want to annoy people and push them away from your product because you tell us that you're going to do this for us, and then you do the exact opposite of said thing?
Right.
I'm of the mindset now where, is if who's going to challenge him after Jungle Boy? Are we going to get somebody from the Elite? We're going to get the 1-6 Matt Jackson or the 13-4 John Moxley? Like what are we doing?
One thing, I'm sorry to interrupt, but even I was saying this to Mike the other day, I loved the storyline with Scorpio Sky. I loved how, he got the pin in the tag match, and he's one of the least likely guys to fight for the world title, but obviously, all of a sudden he had this title match, and it made so much sense from a wrestling standpoint. And then you get to that match, and they point out that this is his first singles match in the company. And, it killed it for me. Instantaneously, I was just Wrestling 101, yeah, you pin the world champion in a tag match, you get a title shot, but supposedly you're not supposed to be doing Wrestling 101 here. So, what are you doing?
Well, they should have mentioned it, or they should have lied about it. That was
right.
Right, I'm with you 100% there. I am with you. And this is why I'm not a fan of rankings. It backs you to the corner. Now, the one thing AEW can use with this angle with Jungle Boy and Jericho is the fact that Jericho chose the opponent because he is contractually obligated to fight somebody before the end of the year. So that's the angle you use, and I get that. But the problem is now when you have the rankings and the records and stuff, it puts you in the corner. I get the fact that the rankings are fresh and it's a brand new thing. They want kind of more like a sport and all that. But again, you're still writing a scripted TV. You can't get too close to reality because people are going to expect reality. And you have Jungle Boy, who's 0-6 or whatever the hell he is,
0-8
as a singles wrestler against the Le Champion, one of the greatest wrestlers in the history of the business, and he's getting a title shot, just like that. Albeit, Jericho says it looks a little lame. I agree with you guys on that one.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that the company that is the most consistent with in terms of challengers for championships, and Mike, I think you'll agree with me, is New Japan.
Yes.
Because every year it's very specific. You win certain tournaments, you get certain title shots, and if nothing else, there's never a number one contenders match or something like that. If anything, it's traditionally someone comes out after your last big challenge and challenges you, and then they're the next challenger. And you may not like that system. I've always part of me has always been a little add to that system. But they're consistent with it. They never change. They never go away from that. So, I just want consistency. I feel like that's not the biggest ask.
I mean, the big thing here, World Tag League just finished.
Right.
I'm not going to spoil who won it because we're not going to do that. But that team is now going to take on the Guerrillas of Destiny, which is the tag champs for New Japan. And they're going to take them on at Wrestle Kingdom. It's the same thing that they do every year.
Yep.
I mean, it's consistency.
And
Joe said, that's something that a lot of people like, myself included. But the other thing that I'm very confused about in this situation is the Bucks and Cody and all of them are the directors and executive vice presidents and all this, that, and the other. Okay? Stay with me here.
Mm-hmm.
You're feuding with Chris Jericho's stable. Stay with me here. Why don't they pick who he challenges? Why don't they pick who the next challenger is? Why can't Jericho just call out random schmo number 337? Because next he's going to call out the Librarian or Peter, or Brandon Cutler or some other guy that's just a waste of television time. Because that's what that match is. Whatever that match goes on, how many people are going to turn over to NXT because they know that Jungle Boy's not going to win that match going in?
Right. I do think
yourself into a bigger corner by making Jericho or allowing Jericho to call out whoever he wants.
Well, let me ask you a question, Mike, real quick. Let me interrupt you real quick. But when is the next pay-per-view for AEW? The next pay-per-view they have?
Spring.
In February or March?
I don't know. They said
I don't
spring.
think they haven't announced a date yet.
No.
Because I'm wondering if they're trying to stall as much as they can. Because obviously you're starting to see now the John Moxley Jericho thing. You're starting to see slowly the build. And I told you one of the things that you're seeing here is they're starting to build that slowly. Like when Jericho was announcing his the challengers he wouldn't be facing, he kept mentioning Moxley. Every fifth person Moxley. This and that. Kenny Ortega, Kenny this, Moxley. It was actually really fascinating and great promo he did. But I think they want the payoff to be on the next pay-per-view. The question is when it's going to be, and I think they're trying to stall as much as they can. But the problem is you risk now, having a match like, as you said, Joe Boy against Jericho. You know who's going to win that match, or at the very least, you have Gaga involved in that. Which is predictable as well too. So, yeah, it kind of
the thing too is like it's so early in the company. Like, look, I think this goes to show that they're still kind of. Maybe they don't have the fullest long-term plans all the time.
No.
Because, you know what, like, you could have had Jungle Boy start winning matches a couple of weeks ago.
True.
And maybe get him into, like, the top 5 of the rankings, and then at least, like, if Jericho's, like, picking someone from the top 5 of the challenger, like, that makes a little bit more sense. And I get, like, someone pointed out on somewhere that I brought this up, someone pointed out that it's similar to a world champion boxer who, has to defend the title, and half the time they end up picking a challenger they know they can beat. And I get that, but also, too, nobody really takes boxing seriously for those reasons.
Mike, you have a clock going my way?
I'm definitely on the, I don't take this serious. I don't know. If their build is to Moxley and Jericho, and that's not till April or February or whenever they're going to do it, so we're going to get 2 months of
build up
junk to lead us. Well, I'm going to call it junk because what are the rankings for then? If you're going to make Jericho defend the title, if he's contractually obligated to defend the title, and you're going to do all these different things, why not make him defend against somebody in the top 5 at least?
I will say one thing. I will say one thing. I disagree with you about Cody not being allowed in the rankings. I think that's actually a totally cool thing. I think it would actually be funny. Not funny, but I think it would be fitting if he was like ranked number 1 and still couldn't get a title shot, because he lost that chance. And so Jericho can kind of mock him in a way because, he's eventually going to get a title shot.
Yeah. And I think the way that, I think on the last episode we did last week, Mike actually laid out the idea to do it, how to get Cody back into dropping that stupid-ass stipulation.
Right.
That's stupid-ass ring.
Stupid-ass ring. I like that. Mike, you have the clock going right now in the meantime?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
We have like 4 minutes left.
Okay. No, I the rankings, coming into it was a good idea. It was fresh because it's something new. But again, the rankings and that, all the stats and stuff, it backs you in the corner. It leaves you in a situation where now I have to take it seriously, and then you have this. Dude, I don't even think this is a main event for Dynamite next week.
I don't know.
The main event is 2 weeks, isn't it?
Yes, 2 weeks. It's not this Wednesday. It's next Wednesday.
Oh, it's the end of the year show. Okay.
Yes, the final new show of the year.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. So let's think about that for a minute, okay? That match is going to go up against Adam Cole versus the winner of the triple threat match for
NXT's going to dominate the ratings that week. I guarantee it. In fact, I may watch live and suppose AEW.
So what you're telling me is we're getting Adam Cole versus probably Keith Lee for the NXT title, and they're countering with Chris Jericho versus Jungle Boy. You tell me where I'm going to be watching.
The next 2 weeks is going to be built up real nice. You have the triple threat match next week, between Ciampa, Lee, and Finn Balor, right?
Yes.
And then you have the winner of that going to play Professor Adam Cole. And they got the Rhea Ripley, Shayna Baszler match also in that same week.
Yeah, that show is going to blow.
And the fact that we already know that 2 weeks out, and they could build that going into that match before the 18th of December, that's bad for AEW. And I wonder if AEW already knew that, and that's why they're just doing this crap. I don't know.
Okay, so they haven't announced officially that the winner of the triple threat match is going to take on Adam Cole on the 18th, but I would be dumbfounded if they didn't do it that way.
I thought they said on the telecast on Wednesday. I thought they made it clear.
It's not saying anything on social media, so okay. I mean,
I thought that was what they said on the week after. Okay, but NXT doesn't have a nice run. I would not be surprised if NXT wins the numbers in the next 2 weeks, honestly, based on this alone.
Yeah, for sure.
I can see that. Yeah.
Because now, someone like me, who was an AEW guy and does watch AEW first before anything else, I might want to watch NXT right away before I watch AEW.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'll probably still watch AEW first, I'm not going to lie, but that's just because something about their show live is more fun to me. Mm-hmm. But just, like I said, I just want consistency. Just, pick one. I don't even care if you guys don't want to do the rankings and you don't want to be different in that way. Nobody's forcing you to be different. It's okay to just be a really good wrestling show. But then just say, hey, guys, we're going to be a really good wrestling show.
Don't waste everybody's time putting
right, exactly. Out. Let me ask you this. Any chance within the next year or two they drop the rankings and say, fuck it?
I think within the next, 6 months. ROH tried doing rankings, multiple times and would always drop it within, 6 months.
Oh, cool. Okay, so there is some precedent in this. Nice.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, too, you know what? WWE does a top 10 rankings or whatever, but they do it for fun on social media.
Yeah.
It clearly is not meant. The champions are usually involved in it and everything. It's clearly not meant to be anything serious. So it's if you want to do something like that, by all means, go for it. But I think, like I said, my biggest problem with it is just you told us one thing and you're giving us another thing.
Right. Good point. So, all right. Anything else to add to this topic? I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay, Mike, bring in a topic then?
All right, so staying on the AEW and the title confusion that is going on inside that wonderful company that we've been discussing, my topic that I want to discuss this week is a secondary AEW men's title. You have the women's title, you have the tag titles, you have the world championship. They have a pretty decent roster, got some pretty good depth to it. So I was bringing my topic is what would you make as the AEW secondary title? What would you name it? And how would you get the champion, and who would your champion be?
Oh. I have an idea. Bring back the TV championship. Because since most of the stuff was TV anyway, remember the old WCW days, they had the television champion? Back in the day? Bring that back. I don't know if WWE owns that name or whatever, but something to that effect. Name it the TV champion. Because look, you're only running 4 pay-per-views a year, okay? Basically, everything. There's no house shows really either, other than the dark matches, of course, within the locations of Dynamite. So just have the second champion be called the TV champion. Just bring that back to some degree. Do a tournament. I can see a lot of guys. MJFs of the world. I can see even Pacs of the world. Those kind of mid-corners, tweeners, we'll call it. Hell, if you did it right now, you could have Moxley get a title and then kind of build that up, because of who he is, and then, and then later on bring in the Jericho, him and Jericho in the pay-per-view. I don't know, but I think there's enough names there to make that title mean something. It's not really a big roster anyway, so it's not really hard to put anybody on that thing. So yeah, why not? Make it the Dynamite champion or the TV champion. I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of agree. TV title was the first thing that went to my mind.
Oh, nice.
The one thing I would say, so back before NXT was a thing, when FCW was the developmental for WWE, They had a title. I don't think it was their TV title. I don't remember what the name of it was. Where every defense would be a 15-minute Iron Man match, and
It was like the FCW 15 title or whatever.
yeah, something like that. I think it's a really cool idea. I think for a company like AEW that's doing a lot of in-ring focused stuff, that would be really cool. They give some really fun matches. And with any luck, it was Dusty Rhodes' idea, so maybe Cody will want to steal it anyway. So that's what I would go with.
That's good.
Something a little different, but still you call it a TV title, call it whatever you want. In terms of who the first champion, I think if you're not fast tracking MJF to the world title, I think he'd be a great first champion for a secondary belt.
I'm not opposed. So the concept that I came up with is similar to what you guys came up with. I named it the Flash title.
The Flash title? Interesting.
Yep. 15-minute time limits in all matches.
Ooh.
The champion has to defend the title at least 2 weeks out of the month. So if there's 4 shows, they got to defend it twice.
Fair.
And I came up with how I would get to the finals of my thing and how I'd get a champion. So I came up with 3 eliminators where I would have 6 men in each eliminator. The winner of that 15-minute eliminator, whether it... I was questioning if I wanted to do, if somebody got a pin before 15 minutes, they just advanced or what. So I kind of spaced out on that. But my eliminators that I have, in the first eliminator, I have MJF, Luchasaurus, Rey Fenix, Shima, Pac, and Superbad Kip Sabian, which I have MJF winning to get to the finals. In eliminator number 2, I have Trent versus Pentagon Jr. versus Adam Page versus Darby Allin versus Jimmy Havoc versus Jungle Boy, which I have Darby Allin winning.
Ooh.
And in eliminator number 3, I have Sonny Kiss versus Dustin Rhodes versus Orange Cassidy versus Sammy Guevara versus Christopher Daniels versus the bad boy Joey Janela, which I have Dustin Rhodes winning. And then I have Darby Allin over MJF and Dustin Rhodes to win the Flash title.
I like it.
You got laid out nice, man. I mean, I came in and just gave you a title, name of a title, and okay, just do a fucking tournament like normal. You came with a fucking layout. I mean, literally you were gonna do eliminators, who's winning it, and which row, and all that. That's pretty sick, dude.
Because what I was thinking is, and I know looking at some of the names that I have in the eliminators, you'd be like, well, how did Pac lose to MJF or Adam Page lose to Darby Allin? And why did Dustin Rhodes get in over Sammy Guevara or whatever? My thought process is here is this could also lead to more feuds in the future.
Right, of course.
Pac and Shima could take each other out. Pac could get mad about that. That could lead to a really good feud between guys who have worked together in Japan before. Trent and Jimmy Havoc could get into it. Or Trent and Pentagon, which could lead to the Best Friends versus the Lucha Bros. Sonny Kiss could get into it with Sammy Guevara. They could have a feud over who they think is the most sexiest person in AEW. I mean, Sammy Guevara says he's sexy as hell. Sonny Kiss twerks on AEW TV. It works.
Sammy wins, for the record.
I was going to ask you, Joe, who wins that?
Sammy.
By the way, he was on Jericho's podcast this week. It's a record.
Oh, I gotta listen to that.
Yeah, I love Sammy Guevara. He's great, man. He's one of the best heels in the company.
Yeah.
So that's my logic on. I feel like they have to bring a secondary title in because I feel like if you're only getting minimal Jericho defenses, and I don't know how many defenses he's going to have because he's going to Japan after the first of the year.
Oh wow! Okay.
He's taking on Tanahashi at
Tanahashi.
Do you guys know if there are plans to do that? Add a second title to the mix?
I haven't heard anything, but you have to figure at some point, like Mike said, like they kind of have to.
Right.
Because I mean, you literally have a full roster right now, and a guy who's defending the title periodically. And honestly, probably doesn't want to be on. I know it's only once a week, but I mean, there's still a lot on Jericho. I don't know if he's planning on recording any more of Fozzy currently.
Also,
he's got other stuff going on.
He's got a lot of stuff going on. A busy guy.
Also, too, like, if you look at the roster, you can definitely see, like, the guys who are kind of in the world title scene and fighting over there, and the guys who are, like, the tag teams, they got their tag title scene and everything. The women obviously have their women's title. And then there's a whole bunch of guys, and I think it's the guys that we've said, like, last week that, like, they're not even really doing that much with. Having a secondary title, all of a sudden, like, Sean Spears has maybe a purpose, or, like, Darby Allin, or, there's guys who...
They're soon to possibly debut Brody Lee.
Yes, exactly. Like, there's people that can actually get some sort of rub off of it, which should be the actual point of a title anyway.
And it takes less pressure off of Jericho, too, especially. Because right now, Jericho seems to be the only guy, the guy they're using to put people over, which I get. It's working, but adding a title also does that, too, and it takes less pressure off of Jericho.
Yeah, definitely.
I see, the other concept that I thought that they could use, and stay with me here, is the Luchador title. Where every match is like one of those like high flying, like, like there's a special stipulation involved, like for like luchadors, like if you hit a splash over the top rope, you get like 35 points or something.
Okay, wait, I got it. We can mix that idea with this idea.
All
the
right.
Pentagon Junior title. You have to dress like Pentagon Junior in order to wrestle in the match. And because we've seen like 12 different people do that anyway.
Can I Google him? Pentagon
Yes,
Jr.?
absolutely.
Okay, let me tell you. I've never heard of that. Go ahead, keep talking.
Well, he's Ray Phoenix's partner in the Lucha Brothers.
Oh, okay, never mind. Okay,
But you've seen Christopher Daniels show up dressed like him. You've seen Chris Jericho show up dressed like him. Like, let's just go all in. Like, you have to be dressed like him in order to fight for this title.
Pentagon Junior channel. I like that.
That could be very interesting.
Right now, they have what? They have the world title. They have the world title, the tag team title, and the women's title. That's all they have right now, right?
Yep,
Correct.
That's it.
Very thin. Very thin. Time to get these guys over, man. Time to get these guys over. The Pox of the world. Say it again?
Yeah, I want a title that was specifically to AEW Dark.
That's not a bad idea either, too. Like kind of like a developmental title. I like that.
The Dark Roast title.
Yeah, it would be like a developmental title.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, kind of like a mini NXT type of thing. It's not NXT, but it's kind of
Look, I enjoy watching.
Go ahead.
No, I enjoy watching AEW Dark. I think it's a really good show, and it could be fun to have a title that specifically is only defended on AEW Dark, and maybe you put Trent like as the champion of that one or something like
Chucky T.
They could share the title, best friends.
Oh,
best
even
friends.
Better. Even better. Let's have Orange Cassidy win the title and then lead up against like a bathroom door and just do the thumbs up.
Could you imagine Orange Cassidy as a champion holding a belt? Oh my god! Hand in his pocket, belt around his head, around his waist, so belt around his shoulder. Sick.
I ship it. Let's go to UPS. I ship it.
Skip it.
Where we at, Mike? How much time left on the segment?
4 minutes.
Oh, I seem to be perfect there. I don't know. Yeah, I imagine they will do it at some point. I mean, the roster's small anyway. I remember we were discussing before the show even started, Mikey. Before we went to TV, we were discussing on my podcast about how AEW was a relatively smaller in comparison to NXT and Raw and SmackDown. Smaller roster of people. So sustainability and whatnot. I guess they're waiting to see how much more guys they sign in coming weeks and months. And then they'll probably start implementing a title or two into the AEW universe.
Well, I feel like right now, like the roster they have, they could put another title in it would survive.
I agree with you.
The thing is, with them not running house shows, with them not having more than 4 pay-per-views, there does not make a ton of sense for them to go out and splurge and bring on more guys to the roster and bury the guys that are already there. Trust me, there are probably plenty of guys in Ring of Honor. Flip Gordon, Marty Scurll. If they could get PCO and Brody Lee from them and bring entire Villain Enterprise in, they would kill it in AEW. The Briscoes, if they would ever leave ROH, they'd probably kill it there. Lethal and Gresham would probably do really good in AEW. But that right there is 8 guys, and we just talked about how there's 8 to 10 guys on that roster that deserve time that aren't getting time because it's the inner circle, or it's this guy, or there's just no time for them, which is unfortunate for them. But I don't know if bolstering the roster means you have to bring a title in. I feel like if you're going to bring the title in, you're going to bring it in with the roster you have now to show the roster that you already have.
I guess
I agree.
see. I agree too. I could see Pac, MJF. You said Darby Allin earlier, being a bearer for that second title, if you will. Guys that can definitely use even though they're over already, whether it's a heel or a face. The title it would put much more attention on the title itself. Pac, like I said, Pac is a great worker. Number one. Hell, even Kenny Omega could benefit from having a title. Like that.
He's got that AAA belt right now that he's wearing.
Mm-hmm.
But those aren't made out of real gold, so he can carry 2.
Right.
Oh. So, side question here with a minute and a half left on our topic. Does Chris Jericho wear the AEW title out to his match against Tanahashi at New Japan?
If you asked me when they first announced the match, I would have said no, absolutely no way. At this point, unless they really hotshot something fast where he loses the title on January 1st, and I don't see them doing that.
No.
This would have been, if Jungle Boy wasn't the next challenger, I would believe maybe there was a chance.
Yeah, if he was taking on anybody in the top 5, you could believe.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
See, if I'm AEW, I want him to wear the title out there.
Even if he loses.
I don't give a shit.
Any promotion is good promotion. Any promotion is good promotion.
He's the third best wrestler in the world.
Fair. I buy that point.
Yeah, he's taking on a top 5 wrestler in a new market, and he's going to go have a good match with Tanahashi. It's more eyes on the title. Do you think New Japan lets him wear the title out to the ring? Because it's not like the two companies are working together. Well, New Japan has said, where I read, where they said that they would not be opposed to a working agreement with AEW.
So maybe this is like opening that bridge. Like, hey, we'll let you
I'm
wear
saying
the title out to the
Jericho
ring.
may be the bridge.
Yeah. Jericho does bring people together. Factual.
Sure does.
Until he throws you a festival of friendships and throws you through an LED TV.
And by the way, yes. and again, that promo he did this week on Dynamite was amazing.
Yes,
the lexicon,
killing it right now.
The lexicon of Le Champion.
Yes.
I mean, he is crushing it in AEW. I'm sorry, he's crushing it.
No, I'm sorry. Jericho is the best wrestler, like overall talent in pro wrestling in 2019.
That's saying something too.
Yep.
All right, timer up.
All right, I guess my topic now, and it's gonna be a little lighthearted again, like last week. In lieu of conversation I've had with people in the last couple of weeks, I wanted to discuss the top 5 greatest IC champions, Intercontinental champions of all time. Also, recently the IC belt got a recent facelift too. On top of that, you guys like it?
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I don't love it.
Right.
I like the other one better.
The white one with the
classic.
Classic,
that to me is like the classic. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Now, we're gonna go top 5, of course. If you have any honorable mentions, you can do so. My top 5 is pretty much based off what I experienced. Like, I know that there are guys in between 2002 and 2019 that were impactful. Which I will acknowledge. Seth Rollins, of course, was one. The Miz definitely was one. I didn't get to watch him when he held the belt in his peak years, but I know the impact. I put Bret Hart as a honorable mention. But my top 5, I'll go in order first, 5 to 1, real quick. Number 5 for me, and I'm going to shock some people here. Number 5 for me, held the belt once, but his reign was, when you consider not just for someone who's not really wasn't a great in the ring, but the character and his persona was well over the time. He was well over, and at the time was probably the biggest heel in the company at the time. The Honky Tonk Man, number 5. From 87 to 88, you had to experience it in the real time too. This guy was so over. Like in a time where Andre the Giant, who had just turned on Hogan months before this, was the biggest heel. And then the $1 Million Man comes in the company about a few months later after that, Ted DiBiase. Honky was still arguably right there as the number 1, number 2 biggest heel in the company. And made that title mean something, too. Had Savage chasing it for a while after he lost at Mania 3 to Steamboat. And made that title matter for a good 14 months. So Honky number 5 for me. Number 4, I got the HBK, Shawn Michaels. His reigns he had, his matches against Razor Ramon, classic, of course. He made, again, a guy that made that belt matter because Bret Hart was a champion and a standing bearer for a couple of years before he won a title in '96. Shawn Michaels was like an extension of Mr. Perfect. It was like a working, made that title a working title, if you will. And, I mentioned Mr. Perfect, he's number 3 for me. Mr. Perfect, of course, again, made that title matter in the sense where if you weren't going to be Hogan, because Hogan was the top guy at the time too, at least Perfect made that title mean something also too. He was a working champion when Hogan went away for a little while, and they made Warrior champion in 1990. Perfect, held the belt for a good while, and made a title matter. Number 2 for me, honestly, I'm not a fan of this guy, but the impact you cannot deny. Number 2 was the Ultimate Warrior. Ultimate Warrior held the belt twice, and the 2 times he held it, impactful. The way he won it the first time was Honky in SummerSlam '88. He lost the Mania 5 to Rick Rude, got it back at SummerSlam in '89 from Rude, and then held the belt again until he won both title titles against Hogan Mania 6. Warrior was one of the most impactful IC champions in history of the company. Number 1 for me, my all-time favorite wrestler, obviously, but he held it one time as well too. But the one time he held it, he was the first person that really made that title mean something, and that was the Macho Man Randy Savage. His 86-87 reign was arguably the one reign is arguably the greatest reign in the history of the business for that title.
Wow.
Macho Man. You got to remember also too how big Hogan was in the mid '80s.
Oh, of course.
For Macho to get the attention that he got right below Hogan with that belt and make that belt mean more than it really was a huge. Like he was like. All the guys after him, Warrior, Honky, Shawn Michaels, Perfect. They made it mean something, but that didn't start until Macho made it mean something. And that belt made him, also got him over the top too. And what Mike's word he likes to use all the time. He became a heel from a heel into a tweener. Because he garnered such respect by having a title too, making the working title, all that it was hard. Even though you hated Macho, it was hard to hate Macho. Because that guy put the grind in the ring. He was one of the greatest performers in the history of business, and it propelled him to what he became, obviously. So I got 1 Savage, 2 Warrior, 3 Perfect, 4 HBK, and 5 the Honky Tonk Man.
I respect that.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's interesting about Savage is that he's one of those wrestlers that he was such a big personality that it was easy to get into him when you were a kid. But if you go back now as an adult and watch him, like he was so amazing in the ring. Just like he wasn't Hogan. He wasn't
bigger than life.
Right. Like he was brilliant, honestly. He's arguably one of the top 5 greatest wrestlers of all time, easily.
Mm-hmm. And he made that. He was the first guy to make that title mean something.
Fair.
By the way, my kid's up, so keep talking. Mike, you want to go do yours?
I'll let Joe go first.
Joe, go ahead.
All right. Well, should I go 5-1? You want me to do that too?
Yeah, up to you.
Shit, I didn't think of it. Okay, so number 5, I'm gonna go ahead and throw Ultimate Warrior because I do think of him when I think of the Intercontinental title. I kind of loved all the different colors that he would do with the strap and stuff like that. It was just fun. When you were a kid, I was a kid during it. It was fun. I remember him, friggin' shaking that big blue cage and like all that. Like he's pretty. He comes to mind very easily when it comes to thinking of the IC title. Number 4 for me, I'm gonna definitely put Bret Hart. It's weird. I know Bret Hart was world champion, I guess, multiple times. I have an easier time remembering that he was Intercontinental champion. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it was something about him, but that title felt very fitting to him. Maybe it's because it was the work rate title and all of that. But I loved him as Intercontinental Champion. I thought he was awesome with that belt. At 3, I'm gonna put Mr. Perfect. He's another one that I think of the IC title. I think of him very instantly. I was a kid during like summer of '90 and all that when he was defending it, and I remember him. I remember his matches. I remember his fan. He's like go now and the new match is so much better than you. Number 2, I'm going with Shawn Michaels, my favorite wrestler of all time. I gotta put him there because let's be honest, he was in the greatest Intercontinental title match of all time, which was the ladder match at WrestleMania 10 against Razor Ramon. I don't think that's debatable. Of course, everything's debatable, but you're going to be wrong. He, again, like personal favorite. He's my favorite wrestler of all time. I can't deny that. And he trained my like second favorite wrestler of all time, who's Daniel Bryan. So I mean, like my whole wrestling fandom is just surrounded by Shawn Michaels.
Oh wow, that round number 2 for you.
And my number 1 pick, my number 1 pick, I'm gonna put here, and I'm just doing it because I felt like the newer guys wouldn't be as well represented in this. But I'm going with The Miz because honestly, he revitalized the Intercontinental title. He took it from literal obscurity and being dead in the company for very many years to making it matter again. And I know right now you might argue it doesn't matter that much. Nakamura is not on TV that much, yada, yada, yada. But I think it matters a lot more than it did back in like 1999. And I think The Miz and Dolph Ziggler to a degree have a lot to do with that. And I think Miz deserves so much credit, and I want him to get that credit right here. Also, Miz, call me.
let me. I'll tell you now, real quick. If I was watching when The Miz started out in the company, there's no doubt I would have put him in my top 5. But because I didn't watch him, I'm only going to go based on what I experienced and which was impacting me. But there's no doubt that The Miz was, definitely, just by hearing commentary from people and watching through the years and seeing, in hindsight, no doubt he made that title matter. Because there's a good time from like 98 to like probably late 2000s. That time didn't matter.
No, I mean at one point they literally got rid of it, like for a long time.
Yes,
which pissed me off.
Yes.
All right, so your top 5 was Warrior, Brett.
No.
Who was
Perfect?
3? Perfect. HBK and The Miz.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I guess that leaves me.
I think Mike's gonna be a little more controversial. Let's go, Mikey.
Hell yeah, we're going for the controversy here. My first honorable mention. I have 2 honorable mentions here. I will honorably mention Jeff Jarrett. JEFF, JRRETT. 6 reigns. Had it for 298 days. If you guys remember, he beat Razor Ramon to win the Intercontinental title at Royal Rumble after Razor got counted out like 3 times. I thought it was awesome.
Isn't he also the person that lost it to China though?
That doesn't bother me as much as other people.
It's China though. Come on now.
That doesn't bother me. A guy that I feel like this title personifies I feel like should get on a rotation here. That's Dolph Ziggler.
There you go.
6 title reigns, 372 total days.
Oh wow!
As Intercontinental Champion, and we all forgot Chris Jericho had 9 IC title reigns for a total of 318 days.
Holy crap! Jeez.
Yeah. Okay. So my top 5. It may not be as controversial as you guys think, but it's going to be interesting. At number 5, I have probably one of the greatest sports entertainers of all time. I have the People's Champion. I have Rock.
I like it. Ooh. I like it.
2 title reigns, 339 total days as IC champion. This is what really brought Rock to the dance. This is where we got to see, People's Champ, the eyebrow, the Nation of Domination. People started booing him. Die, Rocky, die. I thought it was awesome. Number 4, I have the other half of the greatest Intercontinental title ladder match of all time. I have Razor Ramon.
Nice.
4 title reigns for a total of 437 days.
It's incredible.
At number 3, I have Joe's number 1 overall selection, The Miz. 8 reigns, 599 total days as champion. He's going to get 2 more title reigns so that Chris Jericho doesn't have the most title reigns of all time. IJS.
I can see it.
At number two, this guy's on all of our lists, as he probably should be. That is the Ultimate Warrior. 2 reigns, 206 days, spinning the title around his head.
Yes.
I'll always remember the end of the match at the Sky Dome where he's spinning that title over his head and the world title. They're like together, and it's just like a really cool sight. And in first, the guy that I will always associate the Intercontinental Championship with, he is a member of the Heenan family, and he is absolutely perfect.
Perfect. I love, you mentioned The Rock, because, you know, we just discussed about the fact that the title went through a little bit of a phase where it was even phased out for a little while. The Rock's last reign in mid '98, before he got the world title, later on in Survivor Series '98, that was the last time, to me, honestly, that title mattered. After The Rock lost the title to Triple H at SummerSlam in '98, that title never mattered again. Honestly, that's when the start of the whole it doesn't matter anymore. That was because The Rock that was the end of it for me, honestly.
See, I'll disagree with you there because that title also had weight whenever it was Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit versus Chris Jericho.
Yeah, like 2000, 2001, Jericho, Angle, and Benoit did a lot for that title. I will give you that.
That WrestleMania 2000 match where the first fall was for the IC, the second was for the European title. Like those guys worked their butts off.
No, you're right.
Like that was to make up for the dud they had of China being the champion.
You know why? But you know why that had? Okay, let me tell you why. Because I was watching still at that time too. Do you know why that didn't impact me as much though in 2000? Because that was after a year and a half to almost 2 years of it not mattering. So to me, it felt like, because even the world title, as I told you, we discussed it in the past. I think we all agree, some degree, that even though the Attitude Era was amazing, the one negative about the Attitude Era is that it made the title, even the world title to some degree, didn't feel like it mattered as much because it was like hot pocketing every fucking 2 weeks.
Yeah,
that's why I always say that Stone Cold Steve Austin's not the greatest champion. He's the greatest superstar, not the greatest champion though.
I think what's interesting too is, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think one advantage that The Miz kind of had when he was revitalizing the title is that it was gone for a while. So like kind of the stink of all of that kind of went away. Whereas like, you give the title to Jericho and Benoit and Angle to try to make something of in 2000, 2001. And like you said, we're also remembering that like Val Venus was champion maybe like, 6 months earlier. Like,
right.
For like 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So there have been 83 different Intercontinental champions.
Jeez.
Can you name the bottom 6 in shortest title reigns?
No,
I cannot.
Is Santino Marella in there?
No, Santino is not in there.
Damn.
In 80, because this is total reigns. This isn't just
okay.
So, in 83rd place, in under 1 minute, Dean Douglas.
Never would have gotten that.
I'm glad you popped for that, Joe. That makes me so happy. In 82nd place, a guy that we got to see win the Intercontinental title live, Joe.
Zack Ryder.
Woo, woo, woo. You know it. 81st, a guy that I thought could have had a good title reign, and then he lost it the next day. The Mountie. He always gets his man.
That's right.
Not that night he didn't.
He did not. In 80th place, 13-day run test.
I remember that one. Yes.
It was just a test run though.
A test run, yes.
Test run. 78. There was a tie, 14 days between Rikishi. He did it for The Rock.
That's right.
And the Road Dogg.
Yes, I remember him holding for a little while too, a little short reign. I remember that reign.
And I'm looking through this list, and I'm just going to read off a couple random names that have title reigns, okay? And I want you guys to just give me like a word association with it. Wildman Mark Marrow.
Sable.
Could have been better.
Very talented though. I know. Joe's a fan. Obviously, we discussed it on an old podcast.
Ahmed Johnson.
Bad worker. Well, he was over though. Again, he was over in '96.
Knee pads.
Weird looking shorts.
Here you go, Joe. This one's for you because Ernest is gonna have an answer for this one. Ezekiel Jackson.
Last ECW champion. That's the only thing I remember about him.
Hell yeah. Carlito Caribbean Cool.
Should have been bigger.
Oh my God, he should have been to the moon. The Texas Tornado.
Well,
I loved his title reign.
it was good because it
days.
because it was between perfects. That's when Kurt lost the belt for the first time, got it back. His reigns were around that time, or wrapped around Kevin Eric's.
It sounds like a bad weather pattern. It's like things were perfect, and then there was a tornado, and then things were perfect again.
Mm-hmm.
I had said on a group chat that when he won the title in SummerSlam '90, that was a shock because again, I wasn't watching WCW at the time. I wasn't familiar with the South other than reading the magazines, press magazines. So when he came around and it snatched it, I remember he was fresh and new in the company within a month, I think, before he got that title.
Yep.
So,
Owen Hart,
the most underrated wrestler in history of the business.
I disagree.
I think his title reign doesn't get enough credit for as good as it was.
No, it does not.
I'm just saying that title run. I don't think his 2 title reigns with the IC title doesn't get enough love. Ravishing Rick Rude.
Oh, his reigns were awesome. His reign was awesome. It was only 3 months, but it was awesome because he shocked the world beating the Warrior, and that whole build up to the rematch at SummerSlam 3 months later was fucking awesome.
This one's surprising to me. I didn't know he held it for this long. He is tied with the Nature Boy Ric Flair, the son of Mr. Perfect, Curtis Axel.
Really? Oh, that's random. Wow,
that's random.
Big E Langston has a 167-day run.
It's interesting.
I don't remember him having the Intercontinental title.
I sort of do vaguely, pre-New Day.
Oh, it was definitely pre-New Day.
Pre-New Day, post-Ziggler, it was, I don't know.
Oh, it was that weird time where he was AJ Lee's kind of on-screen boyfriend?
Yes.
That makes sense. And a guy that I never thought got enough credit, and I almost put him in my top 5 just to see what you guys would say. But unfortunately, he had some bad news.
Oh, God.
Wade
Barrett. Brown. Oh, that is Barrett. Okay.
Dude, he had 5 reigns for 397 days.
You see, when you say bad news, I think bad news is Brown. I don't think bad news is Barrett.
And that says everything it needs to.
Hence the age divide there. See the age divide here between us.
Yes.
Us 3.
Okay, randomly here. Okay, I'm going to read off the top 5 based off of combined days of their reign. Okay, first up is Pedro Morales. He is number 1 overall at 619 days.
That's correct.
In 2 reigns. The Miz is second, 8 reigns, 599 days. The Rock, Don Morocco, 2 reigns for 541 days. The Honky Tonk Man's 1 reign of 454 days. And this one surprises me. And I don't know, it's maybe because I'm young. In 5th place with 2 reigns and 443 total days as Intercontinental Champion, Tito Santana.
I was going to say that.
Wow. I don't remember that at all either. Jeez.
Well, Savage when I beat him for the title in '86 in Boston Garden.
I'm throwing him now to see when he held it.
Yeah, Savage beat him for the title.
He won the title on a February 11th house show in Boston from Don Morocco. Held it for 226 days before losing it to Greg Valentine at Maple Leaf Wrestling in London, Ontario, Canada. He then won it back from Valentine 285 days later on July 6th of 85 before losing it to Savage in February of 86.
In Boston Garden. That's correct.
Yep. That's nuts.
And then Savage held it probably next one on the list because Savage held it for a year and a month.
414 days. And then Steamboat won it for 65, and then they went to Honky's run.
Yep. And Honky the Warrior, Warrior to Rude, Rude to Warrior.
Rude to Warrior, and then it got
Warrior to Perfect, yeah.
So if you were to try to do that for 1999, there's 18 people probably.
All right, hold on.
Oh, God.
So I'll give you the 1999, and then we'll end it there. Okay.
Okay.
So Ken Shamrock won a title after Triple H vacated the title due to injury in
Correct.
October 1998.
Okay.
He held the belt for 125 days. It went to Val Venus.
Okay.
Venus held it for 29 days before losing it to the Road Dogg. Road Dogg held the title for 14 days before dropping it to Goldust. Goldust, in his 3rd reign, held that title for 14 days before he went to Godfather for 43 days. Jeff Jarrett then beat Godfather and held the title for 60 days. He lost it to Edge on a house show. Edge held it for a day. Jarrett won it back. Jarrett dropped the belt to D'Lo Brown, and that's when D'Lo Brown became the first ever Eurocontinental Champion. You working with the real deal now.
Love that theme song. Sorry. Go ahead.
Jeff Jarrett then beat D'Lo Brown to become the Eurocontinental Champion. He then lost the belt to China at No Mercy of October of 99. Jericho beat China in December of 99, and then the two of them were co-champions January 3rd of 2000.
Oh, Jesus.
Bunch of shit in the front end of that year. At least it got better in the end of the year. At least some better names, Edge and Jericho and all that. Yeah. Oh, God.
I hated the co-champion thing, though.
Thank
you. God.
Me too. Alrighty. Before we go, MVPs of the week. Who wants to go first?
Not it.
I'll go. You want to go first, Joe?
Yeah,
or we go first?
Yeah, you go.
All right. My MVP this week is a shock here. My MVP here is Samoa Joe. He's now doing commentary for Raw.
Your MVP couldn't be any more of a shock after you picked fucking Virgil last week.
That is true. Well, come on now, man. Virgil came. Soul Train Jones, dude. Soul Train Jones. Come on now. No, seriously, Samoa Joe on commentary. He's really good. Like he's amazing really on air. And nothing against Dio Man. Dio Man's not bad, but apparently Dio Man is coming to the ring. I guess that's the storyline here. But Samoa Joe being out from injury might be a good thing because he's actually amazing behind the mic. And that mix with him, I'm not really a big fan of Jerry Lawler today behind the mic, but at least right now I could stand him with Samoa Joe and Vic Joseph right now, and he's incredible, and I hope he does this going forward, for a long time because he was really good on Raw this past week.
All right, Joe.
All right, I'm gonna give it to Chris Jericho because I think the most memorable thing in pro wrestling in the last week was that promo that he did on AEW. That was incredible. The man is killing it. Like he's just killing it.
The Lexicon de la Champion.
I don't hate it, but my guy is a guy who had a pretty good angle to close NXT this week. Took out Finn Balor, won the 6-man tag match. Hopefully going to be the new number one contender for the NXT tag team champion, for the new NXT champion. I want you to bask in his glory. I am going with Keith Lee.
Dude,
for the record, if he wins the title, let's remember I said it last week.
I mean, honestly though, maybe I'm wrong here. You might think I'm wrong here, but he seems the kind of guy that doesn't really need a title though.
I still disagree. I think it'll make him.
Oh, I think if you put the title on him, it'll strap him to the fucking moon.
Yep. Which is about Keith Lee's size, so it works out.
Well, here's the thing, and I know that we're all in agreement that there is no more quote main roster.
Correct.
But if Vince is serious about wanting to make Keith Lee a star after what he did at Survivor Series weekend, and he wants him on Raw or SmackDown, you have to give him a title run in NXT to see if he can sell the venues that they're running. Because if he can't do it there, he sure as hell ain't going to sell out the Raymond James Stadium in April for WrestleMania.
But at the risk of diminishing Adam Cole, though?
You're not diminishing Adam Cole.
I don't think you are, yeah.
He's the most over guy in the company. Raw, SmackDown, NXT does not matter. The most over guy in WWE right now is Adam Cole. And it's not even close. There is nobody on Raw. There is nobody on SmackDown that is as over as he is. Fucking, we have Roman Reigns getting dog food poured on his head, and we have Seth Rollins out in a suit telling everybody that they're stupid. The fans don't care about that. Who do the fans care about? They care about Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, and Adam Cole.
And Bray Wyatt.
By the way, I love you don't think I'm crazy. I love watching their intros. The theme music is amazing, and there's them as a click coming out there. It's really fucking cool, dude. I was texting you the other day. You didn't answer the question, or the statement I said on Saturday in a group text. Like, I know they're heels, but they feel like tweeners.
I think it's because they're cool heels. I think that's the only reason why. Like, it's like that NWO thing, like.
What I will say is, and I will hold this near and dear to my heart, and Joe can attest to this. anytime Kyle O'Reilly comes out with the tag title strapped to his waist and then takes it off and plays the air guitar, it's better entrance than anybody else in the world can
It really is.
Doesn't matter. Because he gets into that air guitar.
After Hogan. Hogan was still the best air guitar player ever.
Nope.
Oh, you kidding me, dude?
Nope.
The Hendrix?
No,
Come on.
Because Hogan, Hogan's lazy with it. Kyle O'Reilly gets into it.
Well, Hogan's old, too, though. Hogan's also, what, at the time, 49 years old?
Old man River, zip it or I'll break your hip, all right?
My favorite thing about it, though, is you can literally see the 8-year-old in Kyle O'Reilly who was doing that in front of his TV while Hulk Hogan was coming out.
That's true. That's a good point.
Like,
that's a great point, Joe.
It so makes you... I think that's one of the things... I know we got to wrap up. I think it's one of the things about NXT that I love, though, and even AEW to a degree. You can tell that half the guys on the roster are just plain old wrestling fans like we are.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And Undisputed Eras, I love those guys. I mean, I'm not, like, obviously, I mean, I'm a Keith Lee guy, Riddle, those guys, but what they do and their characters, what they bring to the NXT is incredible. Like Adam Cole, dude, is fucking badass.
Shit.
So. Just gotta say that. So anyway, I think we're good for this week. We'll be back next week. 3
more topics?
Huh?
I said 3 more topics next week.
Of course. And some news dumps. So for Mike the Squid, Vernier, for the real Joe Lopez, who's not on Twitter for now, quote unquote, and for myself, Ernest J. Christian, this is Take 3 Wrestling Podcast. Until next week, man. Stay up and have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.